Responde la Secretaría Telefónica di 3.
According to officials, many people were trapped in their car in the northeastern region of Spain, Catalonia, as a result of flooding caused by heavy rains. Videos have appeared on the social media showing torrents and muddy water rushing through the town of La Rapita and Santa Barbara in the province of Tarragona swept away everything in the path. Spain's National Meteorological Agency, AEMET, has declared a red alert in the coastal province. There have been no report of death, no injuries so far. The Catalan Civil Protection Agency has urged residents to the Ebro Delta in Tarragona to stay indoors, as AEMET is warning for 118 millimeters of rainfall in 20 hours in the area. The situation is difficult, and more has resulted forecast. Trains from Barcelona and Valencia in the neighboring Valencia region have been suspended until further notice along the mainly coastal Mediterranean corridor. Several regions in the southeastern Spain, including the Balearic Islands, have been hit by heavy rains and flooding in the recent days.
Ai de capo meu.
Uprooted trees and damaged power lines. It sounded like a fire train rushed through the city, saying Munich resident Johannes Keller, describing the terrifying moment when the storm hit. France faced severe coastal flooding, especially along the Atlantic coast. In a vortex, storm surge flooded streets with strong winds, more window and overturned car. Local authorities declared a state of emergency and urged cities to stay indoors. We haven't seen conditions like this in decades, say Major Alice Laurent. In Catalonia region of Spain, flash floods washed away cars and caused landslides in a mountain area. Rail and air travel were disrupted and hundreds of flights across Europe cancelled. Meteorologists service confirmed that the storm area received more than 115 millimeters of rainfall in less than 24 hours. Experts warn of the weather in Europe is becoming increasingly unstable. Storm in this magnitude used to occur on every 20 years. Two people went missing on Saturday after heavy rain, including in Catalonia in northeastern Spain. Firefighters said they were searching along the banks and mouth of Ebro River for two people who went missing near the town of Commuters, about 15 kilometers from Barcelona. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez called a great caution and urged people to avoid unnecessary travel in 10 northern and eastern regions that were on high alert on Saturday. The National Meteorological Service, AEMET, reported that 10 centimeters of rain and fell near Barcelona a few hours. Catalonia and neighboring region of Aragon were on a red alert of extreme risk due to rain and could bring up to 16 liters per square meter hour, according to AEMET.
يا الله شباب هطول عنيف جدا 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 الزلة دفاق.
Europe is riddled after the wave of powerful storms swept across the continent, bringing hurricane-force wind, torrential rain, hail and flooding from Spain to Poland. Authorities have confirmed dozens of fatalities and hundreds of injured, with hundreds of thousands of households remain without electricity. In France, Paris and a hampered by heavy rain is lighting forced to close the metro lines and grounded flights to Charlotte, the airport. Streets and flying and borders turned into rivers. An emergency crew reported more than 5,0 kilometers fallouts overnight. Germany also brought to breath with a tornado-like wind North Rhine-Westphalia, ripping roofs to homes and uprooted trees. Rail service were suspended, highway blocked, and the school closed to official urged residents to stay indoors. It felt like the sky exploded, said Jens Fischer, with so-called lifted to overturned by sudden gusts. In Italy, Venice and Milan were swept by the flash floods, while the Rome enduring the violent hailstorm that shattered windows and damaged cars. Authorities warned to rising river levels in the north, in the fear of further flooding in the Po Valley. Spain forcing massive coastal swells and lightning storms, particularly in Barcelona and Valencia, where the Poland and Czech Republic struggled with the power cuts and transportation shutdowns after gale force winds across Central Europe. Airports across the continent suffered several days while thousands of travelers were stranded with the train station. Insurance provider estimates that the damage could reach billions of euros after gale force winds across the Central Europe. Airports across the continent suffered several days with the thousands of Mediterranean said the storm system was following the coastal line by Mediterranean air called Atlantic Front, creating a volatile chain reaction across the Europe. Scientists warn the climate change is making such extreme wide-reaching weather events increasingly frequent. Heavy rain caused widespread flooding in Ibiza and Formentera, forcing the temporarily closed in Ibiza airport in the cancellation of 24 flights. Authorities are urging people to stay home, and military is helping to pump out water of hundreds of households are without power due to lightning strikes. Heavy rain have been once all the Spanish report of Ibiza and Formentera caused widespread flooding in the transport chaos. For the second in the 2 weeks, flood have caused chaos on the Spanish Mediterranean island for Ibiza and Formentera. The publication writes, it's noted the minor roads of Ibiza airport was closed due to Saturday. Videos circulating online show remaining flow in the terminal. Flights to Ibiza were temporarily suspended for an hour due to flooding of a runway. According to the airport operator Helena, 24 flights were cancelled on the island and 19 are neighboring Mallorca. In addition, public transport was temporarily suspended during the bad weather. The authority of Ibiza, Formentera and Mallorca sent a writer to recent mobile phones urging them to stay at home and impossible to avoid traveling. To mitigate the effect of the flooding, military personnel were sent from the mainland Spain to the island to help pump out the water. Train service was suspended in several provinces, and dozens of flights were cancelled. He rerouted the Charles of Gaulle and Orly airport. In a Burdex vineyard already vacated the wet summer suffered for the damage, raising fears and a poor harvest. We have lost entire section of our vineyard, explained Windmarker Claire Roseau. This is a devastation blow to our livelihood. And in French, entire minister deployed 3,500 firefighters, and the regional governor urged residents to stay indoors. 2 deaths have been confirmed, including the driver who was gassed and crushed in the fallen trees. Meteorologists said the storm was caused by the warm Atlantic air cooled in with a cold Arctic system, resulting in a strong wind. Such events are becoming more frequent in the intense, warned climatologist Dr. Jean Morrell, linking the storm to changing climate conditions. President Emmanuel Macron experienced solidarity with the affected families, promising rapid assistance to fund the recovery. But for many residents, the night of destruction will not forget anytime soon. We had stormed before, said local teacher Sophie Laurent from Naples, but never anything that shocked the earth so much. Red weather warning covered several regions in southeastern Spain have now been lifted, but more slow-moving showers are expected in coming days. Orange warning remain in place along the east coast from south to Tarragona on North Alicante, as well as Ibiza, and in parts of Mallorca, with a yellow warning cover a large area. The bad weather is caused by the storm Alice, named by the Spanish meteorological service AEMET, which has been closely monitoring its development over the western Mediterranean in the recent days. Flights have been cancelled, and the city of Murcia is already evacuating residents due to significant flooding in some areas. The storm is expected to bring a total of 215–300 millimeters of rainfall in some areas. Yellow warning remained in place on Sunday from Valencia to the South Tarragona. Sometimes the jet streams twigs like a Ebro River, eventually breaking up to 11 masses, a cold air in the upper atmosphere to separate from the northern latitude. These circular teardrop-shaped masses of cold air become slow to stationary. Rotated over the warm Mediterranean Sea, they create a very unstable atmosphere. Several metro lines, including lines 1, 4, and 13, experienced major distortion as the water swept in the station. Commuters forced long delay with a rapid urgent reasons to avoid necessary travel. Power outage left more than 25,000 homes in the dark, particularly in the Paris southern suburbs. The storm also damaged parts in the ELF tower lighting system, forcing engineers to shut it off to safety inspirations. Lighting stuck near Notre Dame Cathedral, creating dramatic by the homeless flash captured by onlookers. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo urged calm, praising first response to their swift action. Our city was forced to severe weather before, but the intensity of the last night's storm showed how climate change is amplifying these events, she said. We will assist all those affected. They strengthened our flood resilience. Meteorologists described the storm as one of the most violent in decades as a result of a powerful Atlantic depression scalding with warm continental air from the northern France. Experts warn that such extreme weather events could become more frequent if Europe climate continues to warm. By morning, Parisians emergency to survive the damaged streets, literally the branches flooded, cave terrace, and disrupted train schedule. Yet a month aftermath were also relief. Clear skies returned the city resilience spirit shone through the once again. Farmers estimated the dramatic it's $1 million euros, especially in vineyards that produced world-famous wines. It's devastating, said Jean-Paul Lefroy, a winemaker near Lyon. In just 10 minutes, the works in the entire season was destroyed. Further east in Croatia and Slovenia, hailstones the size of eggs smashed windows and stripped streets bare. Emergency service worked through the night and cleared debris to restore power to affected areas. Local authority described the damage as serious and extensive. Meteorologists across Europe are linking the surge and severe hailstorm to rising temperature and atmospheric instability. The Mediterranean is warming faster than the global average, warning climatologist Dr. Helena. This created ideal conditions to explosive storm to formation of giant hailstorm. The European Severe Laboratory reported that more than 400 hail-related incidents were recorded in 34 hours, of extremely high number of October. Experts warn that such events once considered rare and now becoming more common due to the effects of climate change. Cleanup efforts are underway across the continent, and insurance companies are assessing the extent of the damage. From broken skylets in Rome and flooded streets in Munich and storage fury that what yet another stark reminder that Europe weather is becoming more unpredictable and dangerous than ever before. Barcelona, Spain. Sunday evening, severe storm swept through the center of Catalonia, causing torrential rain, hurricane-force winds and chaos in Barcelona. In a matter of hours, in bustling city was transformed into crisis zone. Emergency sirens blazing through the narrow streets of the Gothic quarter as flash floods overwhelmed the severe scene, turning historic center into raging blow rivers in some areas, such as Gracia, Exemples, and wave level rose by more than half of a meter, flooding basements, ground flood stops, and underground parking slots. The city recovered with a gust exceeding 100 km/h, which uprooted trees and damaged roads. Near Placa Catulia Park and scaffolding collapsing, Norwell missing persistence. Authority closed public parks and promenades and precautionary measures. Local hero Mark Ferrer, a volunteer firefighter, recorded rescue an elderly couple trapped in their car. When we got them, the water is already inside. If we had 2 minutes later, they might not have survived. Tourists were also caught off guard. At least 13 flights were delayed and diverted at parts of airport due to floods and poor visibility. Social media was flooded in shocking images. Flooded subway tunnels, motorcyclists flooding the streets, and firefighters vacationally feeding the coast. Barcelona, Spain. A powerful storm hit the Catalonian capital, plunged the city into chaos, and torrential rain caused flash floods, damaged infrastructure, and disrupted daily lives of thousands of people. The downpour, which began late on Saturday evening, dumped more than 18 mm of rain a few hours, more than a month of rainfall. Streets turned into raging rivers, cars were swept by the water, and metro stations were forced to close. This is the strongest storm they've seen in recent years, said meteorologist Carla La Riva. A sudden drop in atmospheric pressure and warming temperatures created the perfect conditions to the storm. Emergency service reported more than 215 calls during the night, responded to flooding homes, fallen trees, and drivers stuck in flooding cars. Local authority confirmed that there were no casualties, although several people suffered minor injury. One resident, Luis Orteta, described this scene. "I looked out the window and saw the street disappeared underwater. I was terrified. We had to move everything upstairs to get the situation got worse." The Spanish Meteorological Service has declared a red alert for the eastern parts of the Valencia region due to heavy rain. Thursday, a repeat of the flooding that killed 235 people in the area last October. Spanish National Meteorological Service warned of extreme danger and a very difficult situation in Tarragona, Castellón, and Valencia on a Sunday and Monday. On this warning was echoed Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez. Citing of meteorological warning, Sánchez urged citizens to follow the instruction of the emergency service to all times. Local official announced that school and college, libraries and parks, as well as public spaces including gardens, markets and cemeteries, would be closed in the Valencia on a Monday. Overnight rains caused local flooding and overflowing of Arroyo Aldea, one of the towns hardest hit by October 2024 flooding that killed more than 213 people. No casualties have been reported. On a Sunday afternoon, residents of the city received a red weather alert on this phone. The flooding caused by heavy rains in October last year were exacerbated by the effect of climate change. As a warning atmosphere holds more water, climate change increasing the risk and intensity of the flood from extreme rainfall. Local residents struggled to a series of protests against for the believed this mismanagement of last year's crisis calamity. The regional offices did not warn in the time, despite the fact that meteorological service had issued warning. Major boulevard from Camps Elias and Boulevard Saint Germain turning to Russian River, submerged vehicles including metro station. The Red B and Light 7 were partly suspended water pouting on the tracks, while traffic ground and a half along the scene were rising water tethering the riverbanks and cafes. The water came like in a wave, said cafe owner María González. Those small restaurant near multiple that flooded with a minute. People were screaming, chairs were floating, it felt like a city was drawing. The Louvre Museum and Musée d'Orsay both activated flood protection barriers, moving earthworks store and ground to the higher floors, a precaution not taken since the Great Flood of 2016. The Eiffel Tower temporarily closed, a light storm stuck nearly creating a surreal stain that thinly echoes across the darkened skyline. Authority reported no fatalities. Through at least 14 people were rescued from submerged vehicles and several were treated to hypothermia. Emergency crew worked throughout the night and pumped water from the metro tunnels and cleared fallen trees that blocked roads in the 16th and 19th around these months. Spain National Meteorological Agency AEMET issued a red weather alert, warning that new storms could hit the region during the week. Climatologists point to rising sea surface temperatures in the Mediterranean as a key factor causing increasingly frequent extreme weather events. Major Jimmy Colbert declared a temporary state of emergency. Barcelona will recover, but this should wake-up call. Climate resilience is no longer no option, it is urgent necessary. Barcelona is starting to clean up, and these things is clear. The city is not only battling the weather, but also climate change will be no longer be ignored. Madrid has been plunged into chaos after a powerful storm swept across the Spanish capital, bringing torrential rain, gale force winds and a flash flooding that left entire neighborhoods underwater. In just few hours, more than a month was in rain, overwhelming drainage and transformed streets into fast-flowing rivers. Cars were swept away, metro station flooded, and power lines collapsed, plunging parts of the city in darkness. It was terrified, said Lauza Fernandez, a shop assistant who was received from the standard car. The water rose so quickly, I thought I would make it out alive. Authorities confirmed several fatalities and dozens of injured. Hundreds of residents were evacuated from basements in low-lying homes, and emergency service working around the clock, often wading chest deep through the floodwaters. Public transportation suffered severe disruption. Madrid metro network were particularly shut, while train and buses forced long delays. Barras International Airport suspended flight for several hours, stranded passengers amidst scenes of confusion. Tourists were also caught in the chaos, with landmarks like Puerta del Sol and Plaza Major submerged. Videos shared online showed hailstones bouncing across historic squares and water pouring down the steps of the Prada Museum. In surrounding region, farmland was badly hit. Vineyard and olive groves were inundated just weeks before harvest, threatening significant agricultural losers. Economists warned the storm financial toll could run into hundreds of millions euros. Meteorologists explained that the storm was triggered by a clash between humid Mediterranean air cold Atlantic front intensified by record summer heat. Experts warn that climate change is increasing to frequency such extreme weather events across the Spain, already one of Europe's most climate vulnerable nations. The flooding has left inclusion several minor roads and a guideway leading the Zaragoza caused significant traffic delays and making some areas completely increasable. Public transportation have also been severely affected, with the buses and trams unable to operate in the most affected areas. Authorities have issued a warning to residents, advising them to stay at home and avoid unnecessary travel. Emergency services are working around the clock to respond for calls to help, and firefighters to rescue teams and using boats to reach those stuck in their homes. Spain is reeling after a violent storm swept through the large part of the country, bringing torrential rain, violent wind and sudden hailstorms that turned streets into a river overnight. The region of Madrid, Valencia and Andalusia were among the hardest hit, as emergency service walked through the night and the rescue stated residents to clear blocked roads. Meteorologists described the event as one of the most intense autumn storms in recent years. It will the guest exceeded 120 km/h in the capital areas. The Spanish weather agency issued red alert, warning cities to stay indoors and avoid unnecessary travel. In Madrid, heavy flooding forced the closure of several metro stations and caused several traffic chaos. It was like a waterfall coming down the streets, said local resident Laura Gomez. Cars were flooding, trees were falling. It felt apocalyptic. In Valencia, firefighters reported the dozens of emergency calls, and a flash flood inundated in low-lying neighborhoods. This was an unexceptional weather event, said Franco Delit, spokesman of French National Meteorological Service, Meteo France. The storm formed rapidly over the Atlantic and intensified it as it reached the Paris basin, a pattern we have seen more often due to rising sea surface temperatures. Paris Mayor Ana Hidalgo urged residents to remain caution, warning they feel the storm forecast in the coming days. We are facing the realities of the climate change, she said. Our city must strengthen the drainage system and emergency infrastructure. As the drone broke, Paris woke a scene of chaos, flooded the metro assistant, trenches, debris streets, and smelled the wet stone rising from the historic ruins. Yet, when the damage many experienced relieved the scene of the remained below critical flood levels. Paris was seen centuries of the storm, said local historian Jean-Luc Bernard. But each time we are reminded no beauty and frugality walk hard in the city.
Oh my goodness. He's going a bit slowly.
Several music festivals and outdoors events were cancelled, leaving thousands and visitors stranded in makeshift shelters. Switzerland too reported significant damage. In Zurich and Lorentz, public transport was suspended as a hail closed rail lines and flooded tram tunnels. Airways saw delays, where insurers prepared for the decided one of the most expensive summer storms in recent years. Hospitals across affected countries treated hundreds of injured from cuts of barriers and the most serious trauma caused by the fallen debris. Power outage hit tens of thousands of homes while schools and businesses closed in the hardest hit regions. Meteorologists explained that the storm was triggered by the collisions of humid Mediterranean air with the cold northern winds, producing intense supercells capable of generating giant hail. Scientists warn such events are becoming more frequent as Europe warned. We are seeing a climate shift, say climatologist Dr. Eva Schinder. Storms like these, once rare, are now growing through it. Despite the disruption, communities are relevant. Volunteers cleared streets of ice, neighborhoods, shade through fruits, and extended travels, and an emergency crew worked tirelessly to restore power. As Europe began counting the cost, and a hailstorm severe as another stark reminder of nature growing volatility and the urgent need to resilience and efforts of climate experts.